What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another Sharp Objects review brought to you by PanNerdia. Tonight we are going ahead and reviewing episode 7, Falling, of Sharp Objects, followed by a preview of the series finale, episode 8, Milk. I'm Aaron, and welcome, guys. So let's go ahead and get right to it, shall we? But real quick before, I do want to go ahead and say my heart goes out to everybody involved in the tragedy that happened in Jacksonville, Florida today at the Madden Championship in the esports arena there. My heart goes out to everybody. If you haven't heard the news yet, I'm sure you can stumble across it, but there was a mass shooting, so my heart goes out, and all I can say is I hope we all as a species find some peace soon, especially here in the Americas, and figuring out what's next involving gun control. So enough about that. Let's go ahead and move on to the episode 7 review, Falling. So where we last left off, Camille and Emma had a night of fun, drinking, takes an oxy, as well as popping some ecstasy. So they were having a little fun when rollerblading, and unfortunately hurt themselves in the process. So before Camille wakes up, though, and before she went to sleep, she has dreams of the past. And, well, she did see a ghost of her sister warning her last episode as well. So already as a viewer of the show, you want to think, is this going to some ghost story stuff? Are we starting to get into the paranormal as well? I don't think that's necessarily the case. Perhaps I did last week, but this week I think it's more of like an instinctual thing with Camille, but perhaps we'll find out more. Either way, my predictions from last week were, let's say, pretty close. All right. Woo, I got some sunlight coming in. You see that on my face? Sunlight blazing in there. I better sit back right here. There's some kind of sunlight beam flying by. It's intense. I even got my blinds closed. It must be seeping through. So either way, we end up, we'll talk about my predictions soon. We end up with Camille waking up with her mother, Adora, there, ready to help her. Has a dish of some medicines, tonics, whatnot, and seems to have changed Camille at some point. Took her clothes off and put her into a gown. Pretty much ready to be a doctor and take care of her. Camille, though, is already having flashbacks of when she was younger and how she even fought her mother then while she tried to take care of her. Notice, though, something recurring already. That blue tonic bottle. Alright? Now, Adora insists that she takes care of her, but Camille insists that she has to get her work done. Though her ankle is very hurt, Adora tries to help her even more, but noticeably she squeezes Camille's ankle a little too hard, saying she needs to wrap it, and hurts her on purpose. Note that as well. Adora hurts her own daughters on purpose, but what's her purpose? We'll get into it. So Adora says, it's about time I take care of you. It's overdue, Your health is, it's all that you got. You need to take care of yourself, so why don't you let Mother do it? It's already getting kind of eerie, right? Well, whoa, stay out of the sun rays. Whoa. All right. Dang, that's bright. All right. So we then flash over to a little bump with Jackie and Chief Bill Vickery. Particularly, Chief is kind of just asking some questions about Jackie's connection not only to Adora but to Camille, and there is a big connection there, and even from the beginning you figured, well, Camille and her get along well. There's something going on more than just on the surface, right? Than Jackie just being the gossip queen and knowing these little tidbits, right? Keeping some information held, but there's something deeper than that. We then get Camille going up to Emma, seeing how she's doing, and already Emma seems to be somewhat in a trance, all right? to the point where Camille can't even touch Emma's dollhouse, particularly the little figure of Adora, without Emma being threatened. So it's quite interesting how Emma can go from being that rebel to immediately succumbing, almost Stockholm syndrome-ish, to her mother. Camille's obviously a little weirded out and decides the piece. As she's driving around town, though, she's going to look for particularly John Keene, because Emma notes to Camille before she leaves that they're going to arrest John today. So she goes by and already sees the police at John Keene's house looking for him. Or it might even be Ashley's house, Ashley being his girlfriend. But the cops are already there looking for him. They're already searching the house. He's trying to tell Ashley, Bill's trying to get out of Ashley, where is he at? Well, she says that John left last night and never came back. He eventually kind of gets through to Ashley via, bringing her vainness to the surface, saying that, you could receive some fame if you just tell us, where John is. And she kind of succumbs, and then also mentions indirectly that something's going on with the bed over there. Perhaps what she was scrubbing up earlier in the season? I was a little confused then, but it makes sense now. There is blood there. Alright, let's see where we're going. Sorry about that sunshine. It's intense. So, let's go on with Detective Willis. He decides to do some research himself, because I don't think he's necessarily quite keen to John Keene. See what I did there? Being the suspect, and he's got some other trails to follow. In particular, how Marion died, right? Because if you remember from last episode, which I forgot to mention in the review, but when Richard was talking to Jackie in the bar, Jackie let it slip that nobody knows how Marion died, but they mentioned that, Detective Willis mentions that he does know about how when Camille was in the ward, Alice killed herself, and it was by drinking poison. Well, what does poison and women kind of usually associate? Well, without getting sexist or anything, it for the most part explains that, or shows that, that old saying that poison is a woman's weapon, right? So essentially, that's what they're kind of stumbling on, right? So if they can't explain why Marion's dying and she was really, really sick, perhaps it was poison. Somewhat of a correlation there, right? Excuse my stumbling there. So he's on the lookout for that information, and he does get some information about a lady, and I believe this was from Jackie, a nurse that was let go of the hospital where Marion was during the autopsy, I'm pretty sure. No, took care of Marion while Marion was sick, and found out that once Marion had passed, they did not allow an autopsy, and this lady ended up being fired, this nurse. She now works at like a meth clinic or something, methadone clinic. Alright, I gotta figure out something's going on with that sun, man. I gotta back up further. So, we flash back to Adora and Emma. Adora trying to take care of her almost profusely. Something I forget to mention about the nurse. The nurse makes a correlation, and I forget the actual term, the medical term used here. Something along the lines of asphyxiation, right? And essentially is a common disease. She's not saying it's Adora, but just saying, when a mother intentionally hurts their child so they can take care of them, so the child loves them for taking care of them. Almost to the point of Stockholm syndrome. They get to the point where they they love the mother so much for taking care of him, not realizing that the mother's the one who caused the harm in the first place, right? And then we get kind of an example in this next scene where Emma's kind of like, look, bitch, I drank a couple beers last night. I don't want your blue fucking tonic. Leave me alone. And the mother, Adora, then goes into a sob story. It's all about her and oh, blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess you can't have this and you should make your own stuff. And then she's like, I'll take this dollhouse away because you seem too mature, right? And, well, this, of course, upsets Emma, and she kind of gives in to the mother's will, that the mother wants to take care of her, and eventually gets a spoonful of the blue tonic. Blue tonic, right? That special blue tonic, eh? Mother's medicine that she makes herself. So, we stop by for a little lunch with old Chief Vickery and Detective Willis, and already Willis is kind of indifferent because he's so set on learning about Marion and how she passed that he kind of goes straight to cut past Bill's bullshit and goes straight to the point and is like, what do you know about Marion's death? And Chief kind of dodges the question and storms out angrily, saying, you need to get your priorities straight, and we're trying to get John, and if you're not trying to have that, then you need to go back to Kansas City. In the midst of this, Camille went to the local bar, and since they weren't serving alcohol yet, she wanted to know where she can get some booze in this shithole, and they sent her down to the bar that's essentially in a house. I'm assuming it's for like the Mexican workers in town. They go there, so she goes there to get some booze, right? Because they serve. While she's there, though, she of course sees John Keene hiding out. He's been somewhere, right? Well, I guess he left last night to drink and take his last few drinks before he gets arrested. Because I'm pretty sure at this point he knows he's about to be. And this is when it gets really interesting, all right? And I totally called what happened when I was watching this with Pete last week. I totally called what happens this episode. So, essentially they're talking, they're reminiscing on their past sisters, as well as Camille's kind of wondering, why are you running away? Why are you not stepping up and saying that you didn't do it? And John's kind of like, I feel like I don't have to. And they even got to this weird point where John pretty much confessed, but was just kind of telling a story, right? He wasn't being honest. He was just saying, look, I can tell stories too, saying how he did kill her and pulled the teeth out and all this. And obviously Camille's not believing it, but she gets his point. He's like, how about this story? How about I don't even want to be alive? That's how much I miss my sister. And they start making this connection. This connection's there, right? They're relating at this point. And he's wasted. So we cut it back over to a little bit more on that later. Over to Willis, looking deeper and going to get some medical records and digging up some stuff about autopsy reports based on Marion. While he's there, he learned some more about Emma and how she's been sent to the hospital on multiple occasions, like stomach pumps and stuff because she's been so sick. Huh? Stomach pumps? What the hell? Flashback to Camille and Mr. John Keene, and well, Camille convinces him not to leave anywhere, not to go confess or go to the cops and turn himself in drunk. Let's go chill out for a little bit. Let's go run a hotel. That way you can kind of sleep it off. And speaking of sleeping it off, we get cut back to Emma taking even more of mother's milk, should you say. And, well, the blue tonic has red liquid in it. But this was the last spoonful of that particular batch. We then cut back to the most interesting scene of the show, and the one I called. I was sitting there with Pete before any of this happened. I was like, bet that they're going to end up sleeping together, and then the chief and Detective Willis are going to end up busting into the whole motel room and busting his ass and seeing Camille there. Well, that's totally what happened, but it goes down a little, I guess, more intimately than that, right? So they're in there, and John kind of drunkenly grabs Camille's hand because they've already been a little flirty at this point. And he notices one of her scars. He's like, I thought I noticed this the other day. And he's like, let me see you. Let me see you. And he continues to press her, but she kind of gives in because it kind of goes back to that domination thing that they were kind of hinting on earlier in the season, or the series. And essentially, John gets her to show him all of her scars by taking off her clothes. Him being stunned by it, but being, you know, emotionally connected to it, he begins reading them all up and down her body. She even kind of laughs and giggles while being extremely kind of upset because she's exposed, saying, no one sees me like this. But also saying, are you reading me? And it continues to get intimate to where, well, they end up having sex. We then shoot to a shot of Emma kind of getting out of her bed. You can tell that she's going through a lot. She's obviously not sick, but she's under something. And she's also looking for something. I believe she's looking for information on John, but she's roaming through Camille's stuff. So who really knows what what information she's trying to find? But she ends up finding the wrong stuff. She ends up finding pictures of the two dead girls. And she runs back to her room. So to no avail, she didn't find what she was looking for. Seems like the sunbeam's gone. We then cut down to Adora making her batch in the blue glass there. And Alan shows up from work asking, is everything okay? How bad is it? And she goes, oh, it's so bad. Why don't you go, make a drink and go listen to some music and relax? Kind of just already shoving him off like, oh, mother's got this. It's starting to connect though now, right? Woman in white might not sound so sketchy. We then come back to Camille and John kind of sitting there. Camille notices that there's a bite mark on John saying, did Natalie do that? And he's like, yeah, she totally did. She's like, she bit a lot of people in defense. But she was most, or anybody in town, the one person who was most fond of my sister and Ann was your mom. And then she's like, well, did she ever bite my mom? She's like, oh, yeah, she even gave her stitches one time. So, at some point, Natalie's teeth sunk into Adora's arm or somewhere on her body. And we know Adora likes to take care of broken girls and fix them. Teeth? Broken girls? Taking care of them? Being the ultimate mother? Getting the praise that she deserves? But why take it so far as to kill? Is it on purpose or is it an accident? Is it a point to herself? Well, it's too late for any of them to decide because the door gets kicked down and it's Detective Willis and Chief Bill Vickery breaking in. Put your pants on, boy! And just like I called it, oh, look how sad Willis is. He's like, oh, womp womp. Sorry if there's a butt in that shot. So essentially, Camille's busted. And obviously, Willis is pretty pissed. He actually does some baller shit here by just kind of being like, what the hell? She tries to explain herself, but he's not listening. Even when he's about to walk out, she tries to get on her knees and takes his pants off. And he's like, just get on your... He's like, I know you're not a bad person, but he's like, but I should have known that I was dealing with a drunk and a slut, or a whore, one of the two. And, in that instance, he's got every right to say that. Though us as an audience know her connection and her situation and why she got in that situation, it's supposed to not be a bad thing, people being intimate, but come on, guys. If you were in Bill's place, you'd feel, or not Bill's, Bill's. If you were in Willis's place, you'd feel the same too. He's pissed. He doesn't want anything to do with her at this point. But before he leaves, he flops the folder into Camille's car about all the autopsy reports. In particular, who was running them? Jackie O'Neill. Camille then, while driving the Jackies, remembers a scene back how Jackie used to hang out with Adora a lot. Hello, Pete. Drunk and slut, I believe, correct. Yes, that's what they said. Confirmed by Pete. So yeah, Then we get a shot of Jackie kind of dancing, you know, back when they were young. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. I guess my my external drive effed up. Give me a second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Sometimes my external drive just decides to, you know, not work. And there it goes again. Well, there we go. And then all my graphics and stuff end up getting messed up. A lot of technical difficulties this time around, eh? So, anyway, back to where I was. Yeah, video output low. Shut up. You'll be streaming fine soon. Alright. So, where was I? Alrighty. Camille going to Jackie's house. She's going there to get some answers. Why were you taking out all these autopsy reports? You know, I thought everybody knew why she died. Well, apparently not even Camille knew. And Jackie goes on to tell Camille that, don't you remember anything from that day of the funeral? After they had the procession? Your mama cremated her. Camille didn't know that. But why did she cremate her? Well, because she didn't want any evidence. And it continues to unfold in Camille's head that perhaps there was something going on. Something involving the medicine. Well, as Camille and Jackie are sitting there, and they're drinking these Bloody Marys, by the way. Jackie's kind of continuing to drink. Well, Camille has no problem drinking when Jackie says. But Camille fought when her own mother was trying to get her to just take a sip of this medicine. Camille's found her own medicine, but maybe the correlation's starting to click in her head. Wait, the medicine my mom was giving to Marion was the reason she was dying? Jackie's like, you said it, essentially, right? Paraphrasing here. Camille's like, then why the hell did you not say anything? She's like, who's going to believe me? And Camille's furious and storms out. And to this point, she completely kind of gathers it all. The story of the woman in the white dress, right? The bite marks. As well as a particular scene. Let's see if I can find it here. We'll get to it in a second. In particular, some memories she had when Emma was younger, like an infant. She then hysterically calls Frank Curry, her editor, tries to get him on the line, explaining to him that, well, not necessarily explaining, kind of babbling because she's so freaked out, that her mother's the one who did it. Frank's trying to get her to come back. Come on back. We'll pay for a flight. Just take a flight back. It's only a 90-mile drive, but take a flight back, please. Let's go. Come back to St. Louis. We'll take care of it. Smacks with a piece of ivory. Right. A little taste of her own medicine. Speaking of a taste of her own medicine, Pete actually had a good theory, which I'll mention here in a bit. But Camille does refuse to go back home, seeing that she essentially must take care of this, must see it to the end, right? Cut back to Adora. She got 2 blue bottles out now. And Emma throwing up and Adora taking care of her. At this point, and Emma's like throwing up chunks of something. So it's like eating her stomach up. It's pretty effed up, man. And this is when we get the shot of, and I don't know if you guys can really see that, but the shot of Camille when she's younger coming down and with, you know, her mom holding newborn Emma and actually taking a bite out of Emma, right? As an infant. That way, the baby cries and already starts feeling the pain, and the mother already starts taking care of the pain. She's already trying to instill it as an infant. It's effed up. It's effed up, man. Camille thinks about the woman in the white dress. Then we get a shot of Alan as he sits down to put on some music, and he's starting to kind of remember things. And when the last time it was this bad, Marion died, my other daughter. And he starts thinking of all the good times he's had with Emma, turning on the music, Emma coming down as a little girl and as her age now, and dancing and having a good time, and he's struggling to keep it together. I think he thinks that Emma's going to die soon. And then we get to the really weird shit. As Camille approaches the house, pretty much already figuring out that what? Adora's the killer? Hey, I think so too. And so does Pete. Pete in particular thinks that perhaps when they and as they find Adora and put her into custody, she might already be dead or dying of poison that she fed to herself. She might just go out with no cause and no chance of reviewing or receiving any information of why she did it. It's going to be a very bittersweet ending, right? And we end the episode with Camille approaching the house and Emma strolling around the house, almost ceremonial-like, wearing a headdress and looking damn evil. So, episode 7, Falling, was indeed everything kind of crumbling around Camille. But as it did, it revealed what's been hidden the entire time. The fact that her mother is the killer. So, on next episode, the series finale, Milk, interesting name, we're going to find out how this all ties in and how the series will end. All in all, I thought Falling, episode 7, was a very good episode. It was very anxiety-ridden. There were some things that were a little predictable, but they turned out differently, and they had more of an impact than I initially thought. Some things pissed me off, but they had payoff. And ultimately, the big suspicion of Adora has come to light. Unless they pull some other big twist, Adora is the killer, and perhaps the signs are more clear earlier in the season. Either way, the season finale is coming up in just about a half an hour. So let's go ahead and preview the finale. Give a couple predictions. Go watch it. And then I'll come back later tonight on twitch.tv/PanNerdia to give my live reaction to the finale. Alright? Followed by a finale discussion / review tomorrow on the PanNerdia YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and recap with this preview here. Recap. Predictions? Let's see. Whoops. I cannot talk today either, guys. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why this video's not playing either. Come on. My preview not working right now? Well, until this preview figures out what it's doing, I can put another preview up. Why is my stream so low right now? What the hell's going on? Hopefully you're not. Let me know if you're experiencing buffering, Pete. In the meantime, I'm going to figure out how we can do this preview because technical difficulties tonight, baby. Technical difficulties. A little annoying. Not going to lie. Considering I had this preview working before I started. But we can go ahead and show you either way. I'll still show you this. How about... There we go. I'll play it one way or another. It's all about being live, baby.
Boys arrested.
All's well at last.
Is it?
Would you be more sad if John died or I died?
I don't want anybody to die.
You gonna crack?
Almost everyone does, even if they're innocent.
Get her?
I've waited for this for so long.
All right, so obviously the preview didn't show that on my end, but we got a little bit there. All right, guys. So as far as the finale tonight, I think the mother is going to be apprehended either way, right? Somehow or another, they're going to figure out it's the mom. Now, the mom is either going to kill herself, or they're going to, instead of putting her in prison, they're going to put her in a mental hospital. That's the way I'm going to see it, right? I don't think Emma's going to die, but it's a big possibility. And as far as mainly what's going to happen with Camille, she's going to live, but she's going to, I think, be more damaged than before. But at least damaged with some closure. As far as the closure between her and Detective Willis, you know, I'm going to at least say that they'll be... I can at least say that they'll understand each other, but they won't go further in their relationship. That's my prediction. Perhaps, though, they will work together, and or she will get hired on as a detective herself with her detective skills. What do you got to say, Pete? My reaction is going to be smiley emoji with the cowboy hat. I'm not sure how long episode 8 is. I believe it's the same length as the other episodes, an hour. But if it's a little later, I'll let you guys know. Either way, we're going to go ahead and end this so I can prepare myself so I can make sure I enjoy this night's episode. I'm going to go watch that. And then between 9 and 9:30, catch me live on twitch.tv/PanNerdia for a live reaction of the series finale, and then catch me back here tomorrow night on YouTube. It might be tomorrow during the day, actually, since I'm off, to discuss the series finale as well as the season as a whole. I apologize. So, if you guys are done watching me blabber on here tonight, because man, oh man, I couldn't talk on this review. Go ahead and there you go again. Go ahead and get yourself comfortable and get ready to watch the series finale of Sharp Objects. And I hope you guys have a good time. I know I will. I hope he does. Maybe he will have a bigger impact, Chief Willis will, on them catching Adora than we think. So, either way, I'll see you guys later on Twitch. Thanks for joining me tonight. PanNerdia out. Aaron out. Have a good evening. Stay safe out there, guys.